Hey everybody, I'm Miss Amber, and today we are continuing our series, The Worst. I don't know about you, but sometimes I find myself in a situation, day, week, month maybe, where I'm saying this is the worst. Sometimes I maybe got myself in that situation, but sometimes I was just minding my own business, always doing the right thing, and still bad things happen, or worrisome things happen, or stressful things happen. And in this series, we have been looking at the life of Joseph. See, Joseph always did the right thing. Joseph always made right choices, but still, bad things happened to him. Unfortunate things happened to him. And he could have made the decision to say that this was the worst, but he didn't. Time after time, Joseph chose to allow whatever situation he found himself in to serve him, right? He allowed his situation to make him better, not bitter. He saw his opposition as opportunity. He refused to break down. He wanted breakthrough. And today, our big answer is this. So we're about to break it down. We're just gonna go. So you can sit up really straight and tall. If you brought something to take notes with, make sure to get that out and write this down. Our big answer for today is this. I can change my situation by helping others change theirs. I can change my situation by helping others change theirs. So it's not exactly all about us today. Joseph knew it wasn't all about him. And so we are going to learn from Joseph's story. Now, Miss Amber, you might be thinking like, Miss Amber, what all did we learn these past weeks? Well, you can take a look at every message in this series on our 1132 Kids YouTube channel. So make sure if you want to take a break and go and check that out. If you're watching this live, maybe not so much, right? But you can go and look at everything that we've learned so far. And I encourage you guys to go ahead and do that. Now, today we are learning from our memory verse this. It's a little convicting and a little yeah, I should probably be doing that, right? So write this down, Hebrews 6:10. Hebrews 6:10. God's word says this, for God is not unjust. Unjust means unfair, right? God is fair. He is not unjust or unfair. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown him as you have helped his people and continue to help them. So God is saying this, God is fair. It says God is not unfair. God is fair. He's not going to forget all of the great things that we do. He's not going to forget all of our hard work. He's not going to forget when we put others first. He's not going to forget when we help others. He loves when we help others. He loves when we put people first. Think about it. Think about Jesus. He put us first. When he went to the cross, Jesus did it for us. He didn't do it for himself. He did that for God's people, for us, for you and for me. And so God wants us to do good things and to help others. So today we're going to be looking at that together. So I just want to remind you, our lives, our story, our situation isn't just ours, it's actually God's. Whatever situation you might be in right now isn't forever, it's just temporary. It's just the current chapter that we are in. There's a chapter to come after that and many more chapters. Our story is far from over. So we have to trust God in the middle of whatever chapter we're in, whatever situation that we are in, and we need to look for opportunities to help others. So before we jump into any more of this week's lesson, I want us to catch up with Joseph, see what situation Joseph has found himself in this time. So everyone sit up really straight and tall and check out this epic story.
What's up, guys? I'm Mr. Gabe. And I'm Mr. Andrew. And this is an epic story. Today we are looking at the life of Joseph. Joseph's story is one of sibling rivalry, betrayal, and a bad day turned worse.
Oh, I know all about that. It's like the time my sister's hamster turned out to be a baby porcupine. I was trying to be a good brother and let it roam around my room. I lost track of it though and got super tired from looking and decided to take a break and sit on my bed and then I found it.
Yeah, that does sound like a bad and painful day.
Oh yeah, I was emotionally scarred by the betrayal of my sister and the porcupine.
Joseph was a hard worker, loyal to his father, and his main job was to look after his dad's sheep. Now, Joseph's dad was named Jacob. Jacob had a lot of sons, which meant Joseph had a lot of brothers. 11 brothers in all.
Just like Snow White.
There were only 7, and those guys aren't real.
Happy, hungry, grumpy, sleepy, sneezy, wheezy, dopey, mopey, bashful, awful, and Jared.
Wow. So when Joseph was out working, he always did the right thing and would tell his dad any of the bad things his brothers would do, which didn't make them super happy.
See, I told you, Mom! Telling you every single thing my sister does is in fact a good thing. You need to know when she is looking at me, or when she's breathing too loud, or when she puts her finger so close to my face that I go cross-eyed and she says, "She's not touching me! She's not touching me! She's not touching me!"
Whoa, Andrew, calm down. That stuff doesn't happen anymore, right?
Are you sure?
The Bible says that Joseph was his father's favorite because they had a special bond.
Oh, here you go, Gabe. Let me see this here. You just put that right there. There we go. Like this, Gabe?
Andrew, what are you doing?
You were talking about having a bonding moment. Look, we're bonding.
That's not what I meant. Can you take this off now?
Yeah, here we
Oh, not that. No! Oh. Hey Siri, how do you get out of a finger trap?
Okay, I found this on the web for how do you get out of a finger trap. Check it out.
Thank you.
Well, now that we survived that ordeal, Joseph was the favorite and everyone knew it. One day, Jacob gave Joseph a special robe, a beautiful coat. They called it the coat of many colors.
Coat of many colors? Did it have magenta?
What?
What about, cyan?
What are you talking about?
Well, please at least tell me there was a hint of chartreuse.
Are these colors?
Gabriel Sebastian Mills, what did you even learn in kindergarten?
Let's go with a yes on all of those colors. Joseph got along well with his little brother Benjamin, but not so much with his 10 older brothers. His brothers picked on him because he was the favorite and always tried to make him feel bad. They became jealous. Are you okay?
Oh, yeah, I'm good. Just keep going.
Andrew, I feel like you're confused about something.
Well, I guess it's a good thing because his brothers now can't be mean or make fun of Joseph now. They probably can't even stand up. All they can really do is...
What are you talking about?
Well, Gabe, don't tell me you've never seen Jell-O before. You know, it's just kind of...
That's not it at all. People can't turn into Jell-O. I said they were jealous.
Oh.
His dad liking Joseph wasn't the only thing that made him special. God had given him an amazing gift. God spoke to Joseph through his dreams, and Joseph was able to interpret what God was saying to him.
Wait, what? That's amazing!
I know. Joseph had 2 dreams about himself and his brothers. In the first dream, they were in the field tying bundles of grain for harvest, but suddenly his bundle stood up in the middle, and his brother's bundles gathered around his and bowed to Joseph's bundle.
That's a really weird dream, Gabriel. I've had some weird dreams myself.
Oh no, here we go.
One time, I had a dream that I wanted to be smarter. So, I thought really hard, and my brain came out of my ears like ramen noodles and landed into a bowl. I then ate the ramen brain noodles and got smarter.
Why?
I don't know, Gabe, but I have always wondered what that meant.
I have some ideas, but we won't get into that now. In the second dream, Joseph was in the sky, and the sun, moon, and 11 stars started to do just as the bundles of grain had done. They all started to bow down before him.
Those are some weird dreams.
I know, but Joseph was excited about it, so he went to tell his brothers about the dreams. After hearing what Joseph had to say, his brothers were not very excited.
Yeah, do you think you're better than us or something? We'll never bow down to you.
They were actually so upset that they decided to kill Joseph.
With kindness! Kill him with kindness!
What?
Like figuratively, haha, with laughter, ho 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 ho.
No, they wanted Joseph gone, done, dead.
Gabe, what are you doing? There are children out there.
I know, but that's what the Bible says. Just stay with me to see what happens.
Okay.
Later on, his brothers were traveling with the sheep, and Jacob sent Joseph to check on them. They saw Joseph from a long way off and started making fun of him. Here comes the dreamer, they said.
Oh, there was one time I had a crazy dream.
No, Andrew. Some of the brothers decided to get rid of Joseph. Then we'll see what becomes of his dreams, they said.
See, one time
Stop, Andrew. When Reuben heard the others, he tried to fool his brothers in order to save Joseph. Let's not kill him and get our hands dirty. We'll dump him in an empty pit and leave him to die.
Reuben, how does that help?
No, Andrew. Reuben had planned to sneak back later and get Joseph out. When Joseph finally caught up to them, they tore his beautiful coat and threw him into the pit.
That's why they call them armpits, because they stink.
Good one. They decided to tell their father Jacob that a wild animal attacked Joseph and he died.
Like a baby porcupine.
Wait, what?
Like a baby porcupine. Do you not remember how vicious they are? I clearly remember telling you. I mean, it's like you don't even really listen to me, Gabe. I had to get 27 and a half stitches, and I had to sit on a weird pillow for a week that looked like a donut.
I'm sorry, Andrew. You're right.
And now I just want a donut. See what you did?
So there was Joseph. His brothers had made fun of him, took his coat, and threw him into a pit to die. I think this is probably the worst day ever. I'm glad you're back, Andrew.
Poor Joseph. He is never going to get out of that pit. Hopefully he brought something along to keep him busy, like some Legos or puzzles or even a Where's Waldo book. All right, let's see. Where is he? Where?
Can we get back to the story?
Hold on a second. I haven't found him yet. He's right there. Found him. I'm a genius.
Well, I'm happy for you, and you'll be happy to know that Joseph didn't stay in the pit.
He escaped. Yes. Way to go, Joseph. I bet he used his handy dandy grappling hook.
People don't just carry around a grappling hook. What?
Like this. I never leave home without it. Just like Batman.
That's just weird.
You're weird! I'm so sorry.
That's not what happened. One of Joseph's brothers saw a caravan of traders heading their way.
Oh, good. Someone's coming to help, but they're really far away.
Oh.
They'll never get here.
No.
Thank you.
These weren't really the good guys. Instead of killing Joseph, some of the brothers decided to sell him to the slave traders in the caravan and make some money.
What? I can't believe this! Well, that was a rough ending, but I'm glad we finally found out what happened to Joseph. And that's an
No, Andrew, that's not the end. They sold their own brother for 20 pieces of silver. His whole life had just been turned upside down for a few coins. Like I said last time, this was the worst day ever.
Oh, that reminds me of a time that I once sat on a baby porcupine. Crazy story.
Andrew, we all remember.
That was the pillow.
Joseph's story was not over. God had a purpose and a plan for his life that was bigger than anything he could possibly imagine.
Bigger than an airplane?
Yeah.
Bigger than a volcano?
Yes, this is crazy.
Okay, last one. Bigger than a salmon?
Of course, a salmon isn't even that... Oh. The slave traders took Joseph away from his home and brought him to Egypt, where he was sold to a man by the name of Potiphar.
Aha, yes, the son of Potiphar.
No, that's not a thing. Potiphar was a pretty big deal in Egypt.
Aha, bigger than a spaceship I made out of Legos and I worked hours on.
Yeah, even bigger than this.
Gabriel Sebastian Mills. Gabriel Sebastian Mills, be careful. It took me forever to build that.
Oh, no.
Stop. Don't you do it. Don't you. Give it back.
Okay,
Give it.
okay. I'm just kidding with you.
That was such a close...
Joseph started out doing the worst jobs, but soon, because he was such a hard worker, Potiphar eventually put Joseph in charge of everything he had.
Well, I hope Joseph was better with Legos than you are, Gabe. Ah!
God was with Joseph and had a good plan for him, so he succeeded in everything he did, and Potiphar's house was blessed. Even though Joseph was still a slave, things were starting to look up. That is, until she came along.
Joseph's teacher! Oh, he forgot to turn in Yikes.
What? Joseph didn't have a teacher. One day when Potiphar was not around, his wife tried to get Joseph to do things that were wrong.
Like litter!
No.
Like wearing white after Labor Day.
Andrew, no.
Oh, I know, like eating dinner without washing your hands first. Disgusting.
It was nothing like that. Joseph always did the right thing, so he refused. This made Potiphar's wife mad at Joseph. So mad that she came up with a plan to get rid of him. Potiphar's wife lied to her husband, presented fake evidence, and accused him of doing the wrong things. This was a big deal.
As big as a reconstructed super cool spaceship?
Actually, yes. This made Potiphar so mad.
Like how mad, Gabe? Like super mad? Like if somebody had destroyed something you spent tons of time and effort building? Like that?
Exactly. So Potiphar had Joseph thrown in jail.
Yeah, you do the crime. You do the time.
What do you have, Andrew?
Some super strong packing tape. I'm just gonna go ahead and tape my Lego spaceship together. But hold on, I don't understand. Joseph didn't do anything wrong, but he's now in jail? It just doesn't make any sense.
I know. Joseph's story was not over. God had a purpose and a plan for his life that was bigger than anything he could possibly imagine.
Bigger than this amazingly constructed Lego spaceship artfully reinforced by extra strength clear packing tape?
Yes, even bigger than that oddly specific and familiar example. Even in jail, God was with Joseph. The prison warden really liked Joseph, and because of God's favor, Joseph eventually was put in charge of all the prisoners and helped run the prison for the warden. He was even allowed to move around the prison however he wanted.
My mom says I can move out whenever I want. She loves me so much though, I know she wants me to live with her and Dad forever.
Now, the palace cupbearer and the chief baker had been put in the prison for irritating the pharaoh.
Oh, I bet you anything they were doing this to Pharaoh. They weren't touching him. They weren't touching him. Or maybe he always lets his fork make that terrible sound on his plate, like this. Oh! Or maybe he drank all of the milk, but just a tiny bit and put it back in the fridge. That's bad.
Joseph got to know the cupbearer and chief baker in jail. One night, each of them had a dream that really worried them. The next day, Joseph could tell something was bothering them. They were really stressed out.
Were they all puffed up?
What do you mean?
You said they were stressed out. When my pet cat gets stressed out, she puffs up like this and makes a weird noise like this.
I don't think so. Joseph asked them what was wrong, and they told him they both had dreams that they didn't understand.
Oh, here we go. More people trying to share their weird dreams about brain noodles.
Joseph explained to them that God had gifted him with the ability to understand dreams, so he offered to try and help them understand their dreams. Joseph asked God to help him, and God told Joseph what the dreams meant.
This is going to be good. I'm going to write this down if you don't mind. So what kind of crazy dreams did these guys have anyways?
In the cupbearer's dream, there were 3 grapevines growing grapes. The grapes were being squeezed into Pharaoh's cup. Joseph said this meant that in 3 days, the cupbearer would go back to the palace and return to his job as the cupbearer.
Huh?
Now, in the baker's dream, there were 3 baskets of Pharaoh's favorite pastries stacked on his head, and then birds came and ate them all.
Oh, I bet this meant that the baker's Pop-Tarts were the most delicious, and the Pharaoh liked him the best.
Not exactly. Joseph told the baker this meant that in 3 days, Pharaoh was going to have him killed.
Yes!
3 days later, the cupbearer got to go back to his job at the palace, and well, let's just say the baker made his last loaf of bread.
What, is he gluten-free now?
No, I meant he's sleeping with the fishes.
Oh, like the salmon!
No, I meant he's taking a dirt nap.
Oh, I love naps, but my mom says I shouldn't lay in the dirt. One time I did and got a ton of ant bites. My face was so swollen, and you could only see one nostril, and I had weird stuff oozing from this eye.
That's disgusting.
It smelled like scrambled eggs.
Ah, no. I was just trying to say nicely that he died.
Oh, wow, Gabe. You know kids are watching this. I'm so sorry.
I know, but that's what the Bible says. Now, before the cupbearer left the prison, Joseph told him all about his situation. He explained that he was wrongly accused of something he didn't do. The cupbearer promised to tell the Pharaoh all about what had happened to Joseph.
Oh, thank goodness! Here we go! Pack up your bags, Joseph! We're getting out of here! Okay, I got my suitcase.
Actually, the cupbearer got back to the palace and forgot.
No! You've got to be kidding me! I already said my goodbyes to everyone, including my little pet prison mice. I guess we're gonna be in this prison forever.
Your prison mice? Never mind. See, 2 years later, something happened. The Pharaoh began to have strange dreams that really bothered him.
Oh! I know someone that can help. All right, bye-bye, little Mousewitsky. See you later, Hickory Dickory and Doc. We out of here!
And that's...
Nope! No, that's not it! I was just getting invested in what was going to happen to Joseph. You can't just leave me here in this prison. I'll never make it.
You aren't in prison. Only Joseph is, and this isn't the end of the story, but it is for now. We'll be back to tell the rest next time.
I don't know, Gabe. I'm kind of getting really tired of not hearing the end. You might have to tell the rest of this story by yourself.
I'll bring more Pop-Tarts. And I'll let you share one of your weird dreams.
S'more flavored Pop-Tarts or I walk.
Sure.
And that's... Wait, Gabe, hold on. So which dream should I share? I've got plenty of them.
And that's an epic story.
All right, well, I was thinking...
I love epic stories. Unfortunately, Joseph always seems to have like a bad situation. So what in the world? How is his story going to end? We don't know exactly yet. Mr. Andrew was kind of frustrated by that as well. But we have to continue to learn, and we have to continue to look at Joseph's story to see how it's going to end. But for this week, we can take a look at some of the decisions that Joseph made, and we can look at how that might help us in whatever our current situation is. So Joseph had to make a choice. He found himself in prison. He found himself actually, instead of like getting bitter and saying, why me, and this is the worst, he decided, I'm going to be the best prisoner I can be, as crazy as that is. I am going to serve the warden of the prison, and he was put in charge of everything. So much so, when other prisoners were brought into the prison, he actually was able to minister to them, to help them. Do you remember? They had like a crazy dream, and Joseph actually interpreted the dream. But Joseph said, hey, as you go back to the king, as you go back, please tell him about my situation. Tell him I'm in here. It's not my fault. I shouldn't be in here. I'm doing the right thing. I'm a hard worker, right? And they were like, yeah, we'll remember. And they didn't. Dun, 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 right? Like, it's horrible. He finds himself in another, like, kind of upsetting situation. Joseph could have looked at this as like, well, that's it. That was my last chance. Now, I don't know what's going to happen. But he didn't. He didn't give up. He didn't stop doing the right thing. He didn't stop doing good things. He knew a secret. He knew what our memory verse is today, right? He knew our big answer. He knew that because God was with him, that he would prosper and be able to continue to do the right thing. So our big answer for today says this: I can change my situation by helping others change theirs. Joseph wanted to help those guys change their situation. He wanted them to get out of prison. He wanted them to not be there because they didn't deserve to be there. And he was left there. But that wasn't the end of his story, which was great. So he didn't give up. He had a choice to make. He could have chosen to allow that bad news and being forgotten to be a tombstone. Do you guys know what a tombstone is? It's kind of like a gravestone, like in a graveyard, it is a tombstone. So I actually have one here for us, right? This is kind of a silly tombstone game. See, a tombstone would mean this. We've learned that our story isn't just ours, it's God's story. Our current chapter isn't the last chapter, but sometimes we can feel like it is. Sometimes we can feel like it's always going to be like this. Well, I guess God's done with me. I guess God doesn't have a good plan for me. That's not true. We know that there are more chapters to come, and it's not the end. See, if Joseph were to have treated that bad news or the current situation he was in as like, well, I'm just always going to be here. It would have been like him accepting it as the end, right? Because just like this says, game over. It would have been game over for Joseph. But he said, this is not a tombstone. This is not the end of my story. I'm not going to allow bad news after bad news, after kind of bad news. It was very extreme for him, right? Be the end. He knew that no matter what, God was still good and God was still with him. And if God was with him, like he could get through anything. He would not have to stop doing what is right and what is good. He would not allow his situation to be a tombstone. It was not game over for Joseph. So if it wasn't a tombstone, if it wasn't a gravestone, then what was it? What choice did he make? If he knew that it wasn't that, then what could it have been? See, he didn't choose it or allow it to be a tombstone. He allowed himself to be a stepping stone. So have you guys ever gone to like a creek or something like that? Hopefully you have. It's pretty amazing. I love the outdoors and like creeks and stuff like that. But there was this really fun time that we actually went up to Oklahoma. This was several years ago. And it was, I don't know, it was kind of bigger than a creek. Maybe it was a very small river, okay? It was kind of like an in-between size. And you could go out to almost the middle of the river on these stepping stones. You had to be careful because there was like water in between all of them. But you could go from one stone and you would kind of hop over to the next one. Hopefully your shoes didn't get wet. They usually do, so, caution. But you could step from one place to the next, but if there was not a stepping stone, you couldn't make any more progress. If you got to the middle of the river and there wasn't another stepping stone, you were done. That was the end of your journey. It was game over. Joseph knew that if he allowed himself to be a stepping stone, he knew that he could change his situation by helping others change theirs. Joseph was a stepping stone. A stepping stone helps you get where you're going. We can see our worst days as stepping stones. They might be bad, but they're going to help us get to the next day. They're going to help us. They're going to serve us in our next situation, in our next chapter. They're going to help us get down the path. Sometimes it's hard when we only focus on our own situation. Have you ever had a really bad day? And like the more you focus on everything that's going wrong, more things seem to go wrong, right? But Joseph knew that. He said, if I just sit and focus on the fact that I'm in prison, I'm here for no good reason, it was a lie, it's not fair, all of these things, that he would like break down and he wouldn't have the right perspective. So he said, you know what? I'm not going to focus on my situation. I've done all that I can to change it. I'm going to focus on someone else's situation and help them. He knew that he could become a stepping stone, just like in our memory verse, Hebrews 6:10, for God is not unjust or unfair. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown him as you have helped his people and continue to help them. Joseph knew that. He knew if he loved others and if he helped others, he's actually loving and helping God. That's what God says in his word. It's crazy. So you can get everything in life. You can get everything in life that you want if you help enough other people get what they want. You can get everything that you want in life, that you need. You can move on to your next situation, right? The next chapter. If you can help other people in their situation, in their chapter. So how do we do that? You're like, well, that sounds really great, Miss Amber, but how do I actually do that? Well, there are 3 things that I wrote down here that can kind of help us. Number 1 is this, putting others first in your thinking. Because a lot of times we wake up and we think about ourselves. Well, I'm hungry. What am I going to have for breakfast? Oh, what am I going to do today? I'm still tired, right? Like the very first things that we usually think about is just us. So we can put others first in our thinking. Number 2, we can actually find out what others need. You might be saying to yourself, well, Miss Amber, I'd love to help other people, but like, I don't know what they need. Well, how are you going to find out? You have to ask them. I know. whoa, it's crazy. You have to go and talk to them. You have to have a relationship with people. You have to get like beyond yourself and go find someone else and have a conversation, have community, have relationship, and find out what they need help with. What do they need? What are their needs? How can you help them in their situation? And you know that it's going to help you in yours. And number 3, meeting whatever that need is that you found out with excellence and generosity. It says in God's word in Proverbs, it's like super convicting, right? It's in the Message version. It says that you should help people. If someone asks you for some money or for some help, you should help them, because if you can help, you should help. That you should do everything that you can to help others. Now, does someone have a need that you're like, there's no way I can help them? Is there any way that you can help them? No. So that's okay. But if there is a way that you can help someone, you should. So number 3, we should meet that need, whatever their need is, with excellence and generosity, because we know that we can change our situation by helping others change theirs. Now, we're continuing our story in Joseph, and our series verse is so powerful. We're getting really close to the point where you're like, oh, that's the series verse. But I want to read it to you now, and I feel like all of it's kind of starting to come together and make sense for you guys on all of these choices that Joseph has been making, how it's all going to work together for his good, as we know God promises in his word. So take a look at our series verse together. In Genesis 50:20, it says this: "You intended to harm me." This is Joseph speaking to his brothers, because we know what happened in the beginning of this story. "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, for the saving of many lives." Joseph went through all of the things that he did. God was getting him closer and closer and closer to his purpose, and he didn't even know it. A lot of times, God is at work right in the middle of our situation, even if it's not a great one. But we just don't know what God's plan is until we get there. We don't see God at work in the middle of this chapter until we get to the next chapter, and we're like, oh, I saw God working there. I saw God come through there. So we just have to, in faith, know that God is with us, that God intends things for good. He has good plans for us, and that we can help our situation by helping others in theirs. So I want to challenge you guys this week, when you find yourself saying, this is the worst, I can't believe I'm going through this, or I can't believe that this happened to me, or this isn't fair, right? I want to challenge you. Remember that this is just your current chapter. It's not always going to be like this. We have to make sure that we're seeing things the right way. And in our memory verse for today, for God is not unjust or unfair. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown him as you helped his people and continue to help them. It's not just something that we do one time. It is really the way that we should live our lives. We should always be trying to help others. So don't give up. Whatever your situation is, it is not a tombstone. It is just a stepping stone to help you to get from this chapter to the next one, from whatever situation this is to the next one. It's going to help you to get to that breakthrough, that blessing that God has for you. The best way for us to help change our situation is to help others change theirs. As always, I love hanging out with you guys each and every time that we are together. We learn about some silly things, some crazy things. Epic stories are amazing. I want to challenge you guys. If you haven't been taking notes, make sure you do next time. Go get a journal, a notebook, something to write with. It's actually really fun, and you don't have to be perfect at it, but you have to start somewhere. So that's my last encouragement for you guys. And as always, I'll see you next time.